Good morning. All right, let's start with housekeeping, the virtual waiver. All right, so consult a doctor before starting any new exercise program. I want you to check in with your body frequently. We're not gonna force stuff. We're gonna go to about a 75% stretch and we're gonna build up slowly, especially if you're just starting, okay? In the studio, you would sign a waiver. If you're with us here on YouTube today, continuing from this point serves as a waiver, and Shine assumes no responsibility for injuries suffered during practice. But please, please be careful, listen to your body. Yoga's all about like honoring the body, not like pushing through, right? Okay, so thoughts for today. Let me get my block and my strap first. The thoughts for today, we're gonna have a quote from Prayers from the Heart, because I just love, love, love this little book. Here's what it looks like if you want it. And we're gonna say, Father, when I feel lost or alone, you teach me I can have great courage in your strength and direction. You teach me through the promises of your word how faithful you are and that you have an answer to all my questions and longings. I can trust you to handle any obstacles that come my way. I can trust you to give me the patience I seek. Thank you for holding me securely as I walk through this land. You have the whole universe's best interest in your hands. And the verse they have that goes with that, and this has been my big, big verse during the pandemic, Joshua 1:9. Let that truck go by. Be strong and of good courage. Be not afraid, neither be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. And then go for it. The celebration of your dreams looks like this if you want it. Not gopher, like a gopher, but go for. I gotta quit running those words together. Too many gophers. Says today is a gift. That's why it's called the present. No, no person to attach that quote to. But the next one has one. You must begin wherever you are. Jack Boland. So that's what we're doing. We're starting Shine Yoga in the middle of a pandemic because that's where we are, okay? All right, so we're gonna start sitting today. We're gonna come sitting. The giggles you hear in the back, that's not a laugh track. My parents are here behind you as the yoga class. It's just more fun that way if you have people here, right? Okay, so we're gonna start sitting. Oops, and we're gonna sit in the middle of our mat today. And we're gonna do some like little spinal spirals, right? So we're gonna start in the pelvis. And if we imagine the pelvis, like all of our bones here that connect together, they kind of make like a bowl. So we're gonna imagine that bowl as we do this exercise. And we're gonna try and spill our bowl out to the front. All right, so we just come from sitting like kind of right where we're on our sit bones and spill it forward. Okay, then we'll come back to center and we'll kind of tilt it sideways. So you almost have to put a little more weight through the left and just almost lift the right off of the mat to spill that way. And then we come back to center. And then we're gonna spill it to the back. So just kind of, we'll be rounding and letting that spill. So a lot of times people stay real stiff in the pelvis and then they're just like doing this. So what we want to really make sure, if you can feel your little sit bones back there, kind of roll off of them and you'll feel the sit bones almost point forward as the pelvis tilts back. All right, and then we'll come on back to center. We'll tilt it over to the side a little bit, to the right, and back to center. Okay, so now we're gonna kind of put it all together. All right, so we come forward, and as we do that, if we've done yoga before, and you do cat-cow, it's kind of that same motion. All right, so we're gonna kind of anchor on the knees with our hands, and that we can use that to pull us into a tall posture, and then maybe kind of a little bit of an arch to spill out that pelvic bowl. And then we'll just kind of ooze, kind of slide over to the side here, and then to the back, and then to the side, and then we spill out in the front again. And keep going. We're just gonna kind of smooth that move out. Spilling forward, sideways, sideways, forward. We're really sloshing this bowl around, right? Okay, on this next one, we're gonna reverse it. And come to the side, over to the right, to the back, to the left, to the front. And we'll swirl that around. It's a very big truck for this road. Alright, so now the movement may not look a whole lot different, but we're gonna mentally initiate from a different place. Instead of moving the pelvis, we're gonna kind of let right in the belly button and the waist be where this movement comes from. So we'll push the belly button forward, and then we'll just rotate it toward the left, and then we'll pull it back in toward our spine, and then we'll come over to the right with it and back to front. So again, doesn't look terribly different, but we're coming from the belly button instead of the bowl. And just keep going. Your range of motion on this should only be as far as it feels good. Now let's reverse it. Feel very belly dancer here, right? And then we'll move up to the chest and the shoulders, and we'll let that lead the motion. So we'll come forward, sideways, back, and around. This one starts to feel a little bit more like a top than the other ones did, right? But we don't want to just be completely toppy. So we still want to kind of like leave the rest of the body. I don't know if it looks any different to you. Sometimes putting my hands on my shoulders lets me really kind of watch that. Let's go back the other way. Kind of brings my thoughts to what's gonna move first, where I'm initiating. And it gets more like, you know, here. And then we'll come to the head and kind of, we're gonna be thinking about the top of the head. This one will be more like a top, and we'll go to the left and back. Woo. And reverse. Woo. I don't know why there's a woo there. I didn't practice a woo, it just felt like a woo. Spontaneous wooing breaks out all the time. All right. And we'll come to center. Now we gotta come back down. Won't take as long because now we know what we're doing, right? Okay, top. Good, reverse. And I always picture like a flashlight just shine out top of my head going around in a circle, you know? And then here we'll do our shoulders, let them lead. Reverse. Anybody feeling some muscles? I am. Come to the belly button, let it go. Reverse. And the pelvis, we're spilling it all around, sloshing that bowl. And reverse. And back to center. We did it. Okay, so now we're gonna come to hands and knees. I just like to roll over my legs and come up this way, but however is the most convenient way for you to do that, then that's how I want you to do it, okay? I'm gonna turn sideways so you can see what I'm doing with my body. You do not have to turn sideways, all right? You just stay on your mat. So we're gonna do a little cat-cow. And so it looks like this. The cow, we're tilting our tail and lifting our head. And the cat, we're tucking our tail and dropping our head. And then we pull with the belly to kind of arch up the back, okay? So we're gonna inhale as we go to cow. And we tilt the tail and we lift the head. And reverse to cat. We pull up, drawing that belly button up toward the spine as we arch and drop the head and tuck the tail. And go again. Inhale to cow. Exhale to cat. Inhale to cow. Exhale to cat. One more. Inhale to cow. And exhale to cat. From here, we're going to go into a child's pose. All right, again, I'm going to let you see it from the side, and then I'll turn the way you're going to be on your mat. So we'll put our toes together and our knees apart wide. We're going to go and sit down on the heels. Now, if that feels good, great, there's your spot. If you're like, ooh, my knees don't want to bend that hard, you can stick the block in between, or a pillow if you don't have a block at home. I do recommend a block. They're really, really handy. Or even if they don't want to bend hardly at all, you can put it up the tall side and use that support. So now we've got our knees situated. We're going to fold over in flexion. Now, flexion is rounding the spine. Extension, it would be if we like really stretched out in the opposite direction, but we're going to flex it, okay? And again, we go where we're comfortable in our knees. Now about the arms, if your shoulders bother you overhead like this, you can put them down to your side. Try out all the different ways, find your favorite, and do it that way. We're going to come up to our hands and knees. Now we want like our wrists under our shoulders, but if that feels too jammy in your wrist, you can come back just a little. And then you want your knees under your hips, all right? Again, I'm going to go sideways so you can see my body. There we go. Now we're going to flip our toes underneath and lift our hips up to the air for a down dog. Now as we're doing this, kind of bend your knees, shoot the tail to the sky, your little tailbone, and the head will come back in between the biceps, and the spine goes long. Then we start to soften our ankles and maybe straighten our legs. Only as far as they go. Did you see? I'm not like straight, because my body won't do it yet. So, and maybe it never will, depends on how I'm built, but we'll see. But what's important is we keep the spine long. So if you straighten your legs and you see that you really round out, come back and go a little easier into that. From here, we're going to do a three-legged dog. So we're going to kind of walk our feet closer in toward each other. And we'll lift that right leg up to the sky. Toes pointing down, keep the hips pointing toward the ground. And then we're going to bring it through and put it between the hands for a runner's lunge. So this one, I'll show you from this direction. Got our right ankle and our right knee stacked up. Left leg's out behind us. Long spine. And here we are. We're going to plant that left hand, and you can put your block here if you need a little extra room. And then we'll spin. We're keeping that spine long. We're just going to twist the torso so we could smush it up against the wall we're turning toward. And then we raise the arm. If the arm doesn't like it, we can stay down here on the hip. Go where you feel good. It's like a revolved lunge. If you don't need the block, that's okay. Hand goes right on the ground. I love this pose. Feels happy. I don't know why, but it feels really happy. We're going to bring our hand back down. Put that right leg back into our dog pose. Bring the feet closer together. Lifting the left leg up for a three-legged dog. We bring it through. Control, don't fling yourself up there. And then if you only get like here, which happens a lot in the beginning, you can use your hand to help it get in that alignment that we want. All right, and then we lengthen the spine, and we can either use our block for our right hand, or just plant the right hand on the mat, lengthen the spine, and even like kind of putting your hand on your left leg to help you twist, and then reaching up, or hand on hip, whatever feels best. Come on, get happy. The rights for that was for Brady Bunch. Or is it Partridge Family? Come on back down. We're gonna put back to our down dog and stretch out, and then walk our feet up to our hands into a forward fold. So for our forward fold, if you're like here, that's okay, but we're gonna go ahead and squat so we can put our ribs on our thighs, and then we get our hands down, and then we drop the head and start to straighten the legs maybe. Only go to where it's comfortable to go, right? Good. And then we're gonna pull the belly button into the spine and do like a little gentle spinal roll up. Coming up, one vertebrae at a time. Head comes up last, and then we kind of roll the shoulders down and back, because it feels good to do that. Okay? So now we're gonna do a sun salute. We already know how to do our down dog and our runner's lunge, and they're in there, that's key. So we'll just do the rest. And our forward fold. Inhale, reach up, look up. Exhale, we swan dive down into our forward fold. Now we're gonna plant our hands and step back with our right foot into our runner's lunge. And then we step back with the left, going into our downward dog. We're gonna come out to plank, and we're gonna lower our knees and lower our hips so that we end up in an up dog. Now you don't want your shoulders up by your ears, you want a good space there. You don't want to jam into that low back, only come down as far as it feels good. Pulling the belly in to support the back. And then we're gonna lift the hips back up, back into our downward dog. And we're gonna walk our feet back to the front again, into our fold. Inhale, we'll come, I'm gonna turn sideways, you don't have to. And we're gonna come halfway up, keeping that flat back, and put our hands like on our shins or our thighs, wherever you need to be to have a flat back. And then exhale, we fold over. Inhale, we do a big arm sweep, keeping that flat back, and come up. And then we bring the hands down in prayer on the exhale. Get that other side runner's lunge in. Inhale, reach up, look up. Exhale, swan diving down. Step back with our left leg, runner's lunge. Step back with our right, going into our down dog. Inhale as we come to plank. Lower our knees, lower our body, or just our hips, not the whole body. Lower the hips down. Inhale here for an up dog. Exhale as we come back into our down dog. Flip the toes under and push up into our down dog. We walk our feet up toward our hands, or if it's better for your balance, you can put your hands back toward your feet. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, folding over. Inhale, big arm sweep up. And exhale, coming down to prayer. There's our sun salute. It's groovy. All right, so now we're gonna do some poses where we're gonna go to the long edge of our mat instead of the short edge like we've been doing, okay? So we'll start facing that way. And we'll, there was thunder.
That was thunder.
If we run, do not be alarmed. There's no zombies or anything, it's just the, storm. Okay, so feet come out line up with your wrist, all right? And then we turn the left leg, or the left foot, face into the short edge of your mat. We bend that left knee. Want to make sure knee doesn't cave in, but is out here good, like where you can still kind of see your big toe. Both arms are floated like a T, and you stack all your bones up, straight up and down, so you're not forward or back, but right in the center. And look over your middle finger on the left hand. Now let's take a few breaths. Now we're gonna flip that front palm and reach it up to the sky, and that back arm comes down and runs down the back leg for a reverse warrior. Now, I'm gonna get my block, and I'm gonna give you two options for your side angle once we do it. We're gonna first option is to bring this top arm down, and your left arm, and put it across the left thigh, okay? And then you sweep the right arm over by your ear so that you've got a straight line from your fingers down to those legs. Again, you can always put hand on hip if your shoulder doesn't like this motion. But you also have an option of taking your left hand and putting it on your block. All right. Then we twist the torso so we could smush right up against a wall. And then if your balance is okay with it, look up to the sky. We're going to use this top arm to kind of help us propel up. So we push with the left leg, use the arm, we come over. And then we'll turn the foot in. We're going to take our block and put it out in front of us to do a wide-legged fold, okay? So we keep our feet kind of the same distance. We want the edge of our foot to line up with the edge of our mat. You'll still be, you know, long ways on yours, like so, okay? And you want that back flat, all right? But we'll get there. So we're gonna be starting standing up, pull the belly button in, hands on hips. We do a little bit of a back bend so that as we come down, we keep that back flat, and then we put our hands down on the block, all right? Or to the floor if you're a little more flexible. Take a few breaths. If you notice that you're like pretty round here instead of flat back, bend the knees a little. Let that tailbone shoot out behind you. Pull the belly button in and fold over in flexion, using the hands to help you balance. And if your balance is feeling pretty solid, you can walk your hands through your legs and then just let your head hang. Let gravity pull you into the stretch. Walk our hands back up to our flat back, so whether it's on the floor or on your block, we go there. We're going to bend the knees, put our hands on our hips, and straighten the legs. And then this time we're going to turn our feet out. So I'm going to turn this way so you can see me, but you stay where you're at. So our feet have been going straight like this. Now we're going to put them out and squat down like we're a sumo wrestler. And then you want to check out your knees and ankles. So my knees are kind of in front of my ankles here. So I'm going to kind of heel toe wiggle them in so that I've got my ankle under my knees, all right? And then we sit up nice and tall with hands in prayer. For horse pose. Now we straighten the legs, turn the feet back in, and let our prayer come overhead for star pose. hands back in prayer and release. And we're gonna turn, face this way. Is that how we started? Yeah, and face this way. Just kidding. All right.
We knew that.
Spread the feet wide so that your wrists and ankles line up. Take your right foot now and spin it to the top of the mat. Bend in that front knee. Arms float at a T. Don't let the knee cave in. Pull in your belly button. You want that alignment from ankle to knee, and then knee kind of back to your sit bone, right? So we're open, but we're not like jammed open, right? I love the song We Be Jammin'. We do not do it in yoga. We don't be jamming. We flip that front palm. We raise it to the sky, letting that other arm slide down the back leg. As we come down for our side angle, you can put your forearm on your leg or bring your block in. And then we take that left arm up by the ear, palm facing the ground, twisting our torso so that we could smush against the wall, and then turn our face to the sky if our balance likes that, lowering those hips so that we have a straight line from fingers to feet. Don't forget, always an option to put your hand on your hip. Using that top hand to kind of propel us up, we come into standing and we heel toe in and come to the top of our mat. We're going to do a chair pose now, also known as fierce pose. I think Utkatasana, but don't quote me on the Sanskrit there. And we're going to put the feet hip width apart. I'm going to turn, you don't have to. And we're going to stick the booty out here, okay? And then kind of come down in a squat. So we want to keep that alignment as much as possible, knees over ankles. We don't want the knees like way over the toes, okay? And then you can do several options. We still want that long, flat back, right? We can do hands on hips. We can do arms at 90 degrees. Or we can reach all the way up. Wherever is most comfortable for you.
Not too far up.
I don't know if you can hear the thunder. It's getting good. And take some breaths here. Come on out. We come back to standing. We're going to do a real quick little tree pose. Okay, we're out here in the trees. Put our weight in our right leg. And then we're going to pick, depending on your balance, I mean, you can put your foot on your block. You're still putting your weight in here and it's building balance, but you got some extra stability. Or you can put your toe down. You can hold something if you're home. Or we can put our leg on our calf. We're not going to anchor it on the knee because we could shove the knee over. We don't want that. Or you can come all the way up to the thigh and go here. All right, so whichever you choose today, I'm going to go calf. And we want to make sure we haven't popped that hip out. Bring it up in line, engage the glute, and then make sure we don't have this hip up too high. Lower those down level. Bring everything to center, pressing the foot into the leg, the palms together, belly button into spine. And if we want, we grow our tree. And lower it down and switch sides. Weight goes in the left leg. Choose your space for your right foot. Do your checklist. And steady. If we want, we grow our tree. All right. We are going to come back down to mountain pose. There is a practice that ends in mountain pose instead of Shavasana. And since the storm alarms have just gone off, that's where we're gonna end, all right? So we're gonna do feet hip width apart, knees over ankles, hips over knees, shoulders over hips, lengthen in the back of the neck, palms forward. Same pose as Shavasana. We're just standing on our feet as we do it instead of lying down. So here's your options. Do this, or you can go ahead and lie down in Shavasana and then stay there or here as long as you choose. We're heading inside. Love you all. Come back. Check us out on Facebook, like us, follow us, check us out on Zoom, subscribe on YouTube, all the things. Usually we do get on the mat and do other things. This is not a typical class. This is our Thunder class, all right? Bye.